Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, my name is Dr. Himanshu Tyagi and I am teaching this course on heat and mass transfer. Let us continue with radiative heat transfer, which is what we were doing in previous lecture. Before we start today's lecture, let us do a brief recap of what we have done in previous lecture. So, in last lecture, we were looking at the concept of U factors and then applying it for radiative heat transfer between surfaces. So, we divided it into two sections. And I think we had finished the first section, which was radiative heat transfer between surfaces, which can be assumed to be black surfaces, where all the emissivities of all surfaces can be taken as 1. Today, we will continue this analysis and today's focus will be on grey diffuse surfaces, where emissivities are less than 1. So, if you remember, for black surfaces, we wanted to figure out if there are two surfaces as shown over here, surface 1 and surface 2. So, these are two general surfaces having certain areas A1, A2. We assume the temperature of surface 1 is greater than surface 2. Then we wanted to figure out first qualitatively and then quantitatively what is the net rate of heat transfer between these two surfaces going to be. Then we wrote the expression using this particular relationship, where the net rate of heat transfer between surface 1 and surface 2 is given as the difference of two brackets. In the first bracket is the radiation from surface 1 to 2 and the second bracket is radiation from surface 2 to 1. Then we wrote the terms for both these particular brackets, term 1 and term 2, expanded it a little bit, applied the reciprocity relation for view factors given over here, and I think we then obtained a very simple relationship, which is shown with the red star over here, that if we have any two surfaces which can be assumed to behave like a black body, then we can figure out what is the net rate of heat transfer, provided we know the geometry between them, we know their temperatures, we know the distance between them, their orientations, etc. If you know all their particular data, then using these equations over here, we can figure out what is the net rate of heat transfer from the first to the second body, and similarly we can get a negative sign. The opposite will be the net rate of heat transfer from the second to the first body. Then we did this very interesting solved example, where we assumed this to be a hollow cylinder having three type of temperatures. On the top surface, the temperature we assumed is T1, this is surface 1, the bottom surface is surface 2 and the side peripheral surface is surface 3. So, we have certain temperatures, we know the geometry of this particular problem, and what we wanted to figure out were all the heat transfers that were involved in this particular problem. So, this was very exhaustive problem. Then the first step we calculated the view factors, and then in second step, so these are all the 9 view factors given over here on the right hand side of the screen from F11 up to F33. So, it was a very interesting exercise. Then in step 2 we calculated all the Q dots. So, it turned out to be a very simple exercise as well, because we were just careful in applying all these equations, figuring out the Q dots, and then we have shown it in the graphical form shown on the right hand side over here, that what is the direction in which heat flow takes place. So, maybe I will switch to another yellow color over here, and then it seems that this cylinder is kind of a furnace, where we are actually supplying heat from two surfaces. So, I am marking it in yellow color over here. So, the top surface, surface 1, has a heat input of about 157 kilowatts, and so does the bottom surface, surface 2, which has a heat input of about 36.7 kilowatt. So, both of these heats are absorbed by the third surface, surface 3, which then is a net absorber of heat of about the sum of these two numbers, which turns out to be with a negative sign over here. So, I think what we get is about 194.3 kilowatt. So, this is the overall geometry, and this is very useful from a system point of view. What I mean by that is, if I draw a control volume on this particular cylinder and I am just looking at the thermodynamics of the system. So, this particular cylinder simplifies to this particular control volume, two heat inputs Q dot 1, Q dot 2 and one heat output from here Q dot 3. So, we know from thermodynamics, if things are under steady state, no work is being performed, then the sum of all the heat transfer rate should be turned out to be 0. So, that is what it happens over here. That is why some terms have a positive sign and other terms have a negative sign. I think with that we finish this particular exercise. Today what we are going to do is, we are going to revisit similar problems, but we are going to assume that none of the surfaces are black anymore. So, what we are going to assume is, there could be a 3 surface enclosure just like we have shown over here. It could be a cylinder, it could even be a 2 surface enclosure. In all those cases, what we are going to assume is that all the bodies are behaving like diffuse as well as gray, and that will lead to certain complications, but it will be also very exciting process. So, let us start the second part for that analysis today, which is radiative heat transfer. Radiative heat transfer between diffuse gray surfaces, and this would involve the learning of new concepts. So, I will just illustrate the difficulty of this problem. So, let me take the same problem as was given last time, and we will try to solve the same problem if we have time today. Then let us say this is surface 1 again on the top, surface 2 at the bottom, surface 3 over here. So, I know all the geometries which are involved in this particular problem. I know the radius of the cylinder, height of the cylinder, temperature 1 value is known to me, temperature 2 value is also known to me, and so is the value of temperature 3. Now, what we are going to do is, in addition to the temperature and area values, we also are given the values of emissivity. So, surface 1 is no longer black, it emits at slightly less emissivity than 1, which means it is having, let us say, emissivity 0.8. Then surface 3 and 2 similarly have lower values. How will it change our original problem? So, if I go back 2 slides, this is the schematic of our original problem. So, the main heat transfer is from the top surface, part of it, like shown in the red arrow over here, travels and absorbed, it is absorbed by the bottom. Then another heat source is there from the bottom. So, this part and the heat source together, so 36 plus 15, so it is about 53 over here, that travels on this particular direction. It was easy to solve because in a black surface, whatever is emitted by surface 1 is absorbed fully by surface 2. Because of the property of being black body, it is also perfect emitter as well as absorber. Now, let us see how will the relationship between surface 1 and surface 2 take place. So, let us say certain amount of emissions take place from surface 1. If surface 2 were a black body, then all of it would be absorbed. Okay. So, all this green radiation would be absorbed by surface 2, but now what is going to happen is, some part of it will be absorbed, other part will be reflected. And since we are using the word diffuse over here, both the absorption and reflection and emission, all those things are going to be diffuse. As a matter of fact, some part may even be reflected back to surface 1. So, this blue arrow, light blue color, it is indicating that heat which started from surface 1, reached surface 2, is reflected by surface 2 back to surface 1. Now, when surface 1 is viewing that particular blue arrow, the heat coming from surface 2, it itself is not a black body, which means it will absorb certain portion out of that, and then some part it will again reflect back over here, which means this process may keep on continuing. So, I can keep on using different color arrows, their length will become smaller because the amount of reflected radiation, its magnitude becomes small, but you can see it is a sum of infinite series, and this is just one part. Then 2 will also emit, because it is a gray body diffuse emitter, it is emitting in all sides, and the same thing will happen to this purple arrow as well, and the same thing will happen with surface 3 as well, which means the radiation which started from surface 1 got reflected by surface 2, may reach surface 3, some portion may get absorbed, it may again get reflected from surface 3 and in all directions, which means it may even reflect back to surface 1 or to surface 2 as well. So, what I am trying to say may sound very complicated, and it really is if we try to use that kind of a process over here, which means we have to use a different kind of approach, and for that we have to make use of following 3 concepts over here. The first concept, I think students already know, it is the concept of radiosity given as J, but the next 2 concepts will be new over here. So, we will pay special attention to them. The first one is called the surface resistance. It will be given by the symbol Ri, and the second one will be called as space resistance. It will be given by the symbol Rij. So, making use of these 3 concepts, we will be able to simplify this particular problem. And that is what generally engineers and scientists do. They observe something in nature which may appear complicated, or its explanation may appear complicated, and try and figure out another way of approaching the same problem in which it can be simplified. So, at the end it is a very satisfying and fulfilling experience. So, I hope you will follow what I am going to do next. And just as the example, I would like to show how simplified these things will become, and I will take the case of the following 2 surface cases. So, in all these 3 cases that I am going to show over here, so maybe I will write it as case 1. In case 1, we have, let us say, 2 infinitely long plates facing one another. Here this is surface 1, surface 2, and I know their temperatures, I know their emissivities, and of course, their areas are very large, because these are infinitely long plates in this direction as well as in this direction. It is infinitely long. So, what I am interested in figuring out over here is what is the net rate of heat transfer between these 2 surfaces, and I am always assuming that T1 is greater than T2. This is first of the examples that I can consider. Then I can consider the case of very long pipes, one inside the other, where the length of these pipe again go to infinity. And let us say I know the radius of these 2 pipes. The radius of inner pipe is R1 and the radius of outer pipe is R2, and I know the temperatures and the emissivities of both the surfaces. So, again I like to figure out in this particular case as well, what is the rate at which radiative heat transfer is taking place in this case as well. And there is another third case which is very simple as well. If we have 2 spheres, one inside another. So, this is a smaller sphere and this is a larger sphere. So, smaller sphere is of radius R1, larger sphere is of radius R2, and similarly I know the temperature T2, emissivity 2 and temperature T1 and emissivity 1. And here also I am going to figure out the value of net rate of heat transfer between these two surfaces. And why am I considering these three cases even before we have studied these three concepts is just to show to the students that once we apply these concepts, we get rid of all this complication over here and we in fact get very simple results, and those results I want to share with the students. So, maybe I will write it in small font over here. This term simply turns out to be, so I will erase this part over here so that I have more space, T1 to the power 4, T2 to the power 4 divided by epsilon 1, epsilon 2 minus 1. For the case of pipe, the expression turns out to be again very simple. And similarly, for the sphere case, it turns out to be again very simple straightforward relationship. So, good thing about understanding the advanced concepts like the three concepts that we will discuss over here is we have to spend several minutes to understand it. It may take little bit time, but the advantage is that if we have understood that concept clearly, in future we will never have to remember any of these equations at all, even though they might look simple, but even in real life or for exam purpose or for even conceptualization purpose, it will simply turn out to be a very simple expression, which is because of the understanding of these three concepts. So, let us try and see how did we obtain these three results so simply, and even for different geometries, what are the readings that results that we can get. So, let us start with the very simple approach, and I will start from a fresh slide over here. So, in the first step, I will follow it up in 3 steps. We will look at radiosity more carefully, and this is something that we are already familiar with. So, let us just revise it a little bit and write it in a proper equation over here. So, let us say we have a surface I, which is given in the horizontal position over here. So, this is my surface I on which there is some irradiation G. So, this irradiation has the units watts per meter square. If this surface I were a black body, then all this irradiation would be absorbed, but we are assuming right now it is not a black body, it has certain emissivity which is less than 1 and greater than 0. So, in this case what is going to happen is there is going to be a reflected component of this particular G, which we are going to call the deflected wave, and this is something we have already studied in last lecture, that I can write it in terms of reflectivity rho I into G I. If I put a subscript I over here, and why am I writing all these small i's? Because we are looking at this surface I over here. So, if in some case it could be surface 1, in some case it could be surface 2. Because this surface already itself is at some temperature T I, it is going to have certain emittance. So, certain emissive power will be involved. If it were a black body, that emissive power would be E B I, but now because it is a gray body, it will be slightly less, and it will, that less amount is given by this factor over here epsilon I. And we remember from our previous experience that these two particular radiations put together gives us the value of J, which means, and for J also I can write this subscript I over here, which means this particular relationship that we have seen in this particular graph, I can write in terms of a mathematical expression where I can define J I as the first term given in blue over here plus the second term given in red over here. So, J I is simply rho I into G I plus epsilon I into E B I over here, and this I will write as equation number 1 over here. So, I hope to students this point is clear. All the terms in this equation have the units watts per meter square. So, we are talking in terms of radiation rate of radiative heat transfer per unit area. Secondly, we are assuming that this surface I over here, let me make a little bit dark, it is an opaque surface. Opaque means that there is nothing which is going to transmit through it. So, I will put a cross over here, there is no transmission over here. So, for an opaque surface, I get a very nice expression like this. So, for a general surface this is true, but because the surface is opaque, tau value is 0, because for an opaque surface there is no value of transmissivity, it is 0, which means this expression reduces as alpha plus rho is equals to 1. Also from Kirchhoff's law we know that usually alpha is equals to epsilon, emissivity. If I combine these two relations over here, what I am going to get is the value of rho is simply 1 minus epsilon, and this is my equation number 2. Let us substitute equation 2 into equation 1, which means I want to eliminate the term reflectivity rho from equation number 1. So, what will I get is essentially J I is equal to rho into G I, and instead of rho what I am going to do is write this particular expression. So, what I will get is 1 minus epsilon I into G I plus epsilon I E B I. So, this is now some sort of a reduced or a simplified form of the expression for radiosity that we wanted to introduce. So, this is something that students had seen the definition of this particular term in the earlier lecture, but now we have written in terms of everything in terms of emissivity, and it will become very clear very soon that why we want to write all the things in terms of emissivity. So, this was the first step that we have completed. Now, let us introduce that interesting concept in step 2. So, in the second step, we are going to introduce the concept of surface resistance. So, in order to do that, let me draw the same surface, but now I am drawing it in the vertical orientation. So, it is the same surface I. So, just for better clarity, I have drawn it in a vertical orientation, and I will draw the same values again. So, this is G I over here. What gets reflected is rho into G I, rho I G I, plus there is a emission term as well, emissivity I, E B I, and these things put together give me the value of J I, right. Now, let me ask a quick question to the students. Let me put some numbers over here. Let us say the irradiation on this particular surface I am just putting some numbers over here, random numbers, is about 10 watts per meter square, and it so happens that because of the effect of temperature, reflectivity and all other things, the net radiosity which is measured at this particular point is, let us say, 40 watts per meter square, which means if we ask this particular surface or if we analyze this particular surface, then 10 watts on a 1 meter square area, I can say 10 watt is incident and 40 watt is leaving. Then if I do a energy balance on this surface, essentially net heat transferred by this surface is effectively 30 watts, because 10 was incident, 40 was leaving. So, this relationship which I have just put in terms of numbers, now I can write in terms of rate of heat transfer which is leaving the surface I, which I am defining as Q I. So, in my numerical example over here, what I wrote was Q I is essentially 40 minus 10, and I can write it in expression form over here as it is J I minus G I into A I, because over here in Q I had assumed that the area is 1 meter square. In reality, it need not be 1, it can be any general number over here. So, this is another general equation over here, which I am going to put as number 4. Now comes the interesting part. We have both these equations here on the same screen. So, what I am going to do is I am going to highlight equation number 3 and equation number 4. By combining equation 3 and equation 4, we will be able to see very nicely the concept of surface resistance. Now, let us do that in such a way that let us eliminate G I, which is the irradiance G I from equations 3 and 4. Okay. This exercise I will do on the next slide, which means I am going to take the expression for G I from here, I am highlighting it in black color over here, then I will substitute it in equation number 3, which will be this term over here. So, what will I get? I will get the left hand side remains same, which is J I is equal to one minus epsilon I, and what was G I? G I will turn out to be Q dot I divided by A I minus J I. Okay. And then we have epsilon I E B I. From here, I can get the expression for Q dot I. I can simplify it a little bit, that I would encourage the students to do themselves. It is just that bringing Q dot I on the left hand side, and what we will get is a term like this, A I into J I minus J I minus epsilon I into E B I, that is the numerator, and in the denominator we will have 1 minus epsilon. I can further simplify this, because some of these terms may get cancelled. I can see a 1 minus epsilon I multiplying with J I getting cancelled, and what I will obtain over here is the expression will become A I epsilon I divided by 1 minus epsilon I. This will be outside the bracket, and in the bracket we will have two simple terms, E B I minus J I. So, I will put a black star over here, and this is the final value that we have obtained. So, we have done a little bit long series of analysis, but it is very fruitful. So, I will ask the students to look at this equation with me and then tell me, is there some resistance value that they can see over here. So, we have to be a little bit creative, and in engineering and science it is very important to be creative, and let me show you how we can find that hidden resistance over here. If I can write this equation in this particular form, because from electrical analogy we know the rate of current which is flowing, the current flowing through any wire or conductor is proportional to the voltage drop and inversely proportional to the resistance. So, we are seeing some voltage drop term over here, because we are seeing two terms which are subtracting one another, and Q dot can be considered as the current term over here. So, we are seeing some sort of a electrical analogy. So, if I do this particular analogy, what I get over here, maybe I will show in blue color, is this term is the inverse of resistance. So, that I am going to write over here now, that over here I get the resistance value as 1 minus epsilon I divided by A I epsilon I. So, this is that surface resistance that we were talking about in the previous slide over here. You remember in step 2 we were wanting to look at the surface resistance over here, and that is what we have found over here. So, let me go ahead and write that this is the surface resistance of a gray diffuse surface, and its units are 1 by meter square. And where does this resistance thing fit? It fits with this particular radiation transfer analogy, where we are taking q dot analogy as current, then EBI minus JI difference analogy we are taking as voltage drop, and 1 minus epsilon I divided by AI epsilon I we are taking as resistance, and we call it the surface resistance. Now, one small word of caution to students, that we had also used some sort of electrical analogy when we were looking at conduction heat transfer, convection heat transfer, and there we studied a topic of thermal resistance network. So, this particular analogy is totally different from that, because there in the thermal resistance network, I think I will write it over here, that this is not same as the thermal resistance network, where the analogy for electrical current was q dot, the analogy for delta voltage was different, it was delta temperature. So, here you can see the analogy for delta voltage is difference in flux EBI minus JI. So, it is totally different, and the analogy for electrical resistance was thermal resistance, and for convection that thermal resistance 1 was 1 by HA, and for conduction that resistance was K by L. These two are totally not same with one another. Please remember it very carefully. If you remember it, then I think it will be very beneficial to the students. I hope it is clear till now. Now, what I am going to do is, in the next slide, I will show that space resistance that we had just drawn graphically. So, let me redraw that surface 1. So, you remember that we have given the vertical orientation to surface 1 or surface I. The incident irradiation was Gi, it got reflected as rho I Gi, some part got emitted as epsilon I EBI. We joined them together, added them together, we got radiosity Ji. So, what is the electrical analogy for this? It turns out we can draw it like this. So, instead of voltage, this will be the node over here for voltage, then there is some resistance over here, then there is the other voltage over here. This is how electrical resistance network looks like, and let me put some numbers over here. So, the higher voltage is going to be EBI. This is again surface I that I am drawing over here, and why is it higher voltage is and lower voltage also, let me write lower voltage is Ji. So, if I go back to the previous slide for just 1 minute, what we are seeing is that this voltage drop term has the difference of two voltages. It is kind of like delta V is V2 minus V1 divided by R, and this is electrical resistance. So, we have to have two voltages between which there will be a resistor, and then current will flow, and the current which will flow over here, what is going to be that current? it is not I in terms of amperes, it is going to be Q dot. What is this resistance over here? It is not electrical resistance, but it is the surface resistance, or I can write it as, because we are writing it for the ith surface, I can write it simply as R I, where the expression of R I is known to me as 1 minus epsilon I divided by A I epsilon I. So, this is the surface resistance. Now, we are getting very good analogy. We know that if there is some irradiation incident on a surface, then what we will do is assume that surface having a particular node at a voltage EBI, then we put a resistance in front of that particular surface, which is shown as Ri over here. A current is going to flow this particular resistance to the next node on the right hand side. So, this node we will write as Ji. So, may I ask a question to the student, will always the direction of current be in this direction over here? Like the way we have drawn in this example, current is flowing from EBI to Ji, and the reason is probably because EBI is greater than Ji. Can there be another case where it is reverse, where EBI is less than Ji? And the answer is yes. If it is less, then the current will flow in the other direction, which means Q dot I will reverse its direction, and in that I will draw in red color over here. In that case, Q dot I will go over here if we are considering the red case. In the red case, Ji is less than EBI. It is just like in terms of voltages as well. If this is 6 volt, this is 4 volt, then our current rotation says that current is going in this direction, forward direction. But in another case, if this is 12 volts and this is 3 volts, then current will go in this particular direction. The same thing happens in the radiation case as well. So, I will say depends on this particular inequality over here. I hope till this particular point things are clear. Okay. Then let us look at the step number 3, which is very interesting, where we will introduce one more resistance that we are calling as the space resistance. And as the name suggests, we will put in front of R the subscript space over here. And what does this actually mean? Let us consider one simple example over here. So, let us say we have surface 1 over here. It has some temperature T1. Then very far distance over here, we have surface 2. The surface 2, it has temperature T2, and this was surface 1 having temperature T1. Now, you remember in previous class we had figured out that what is going to be the net rate of heat transfer between them, because why is it not easy to calculate? Some part will go out like this, the green one. Only the red part which is hitting from surface 1 to surface 2, that is transferring heat of surface 1 into surface 2, and the opposite will happen for surface 2 as well. Some part will actually be emitted over here, and only the blue part which is coming out from here, it is going to hit surface 1 directly. Okay. So, in this let us consider two cases. In case A, we assume that both are black bodies. Then can I get a quick expression for Q dot 1 2? I think this is something we had written in last class, that for black body calculating this Q dot 1 2 is very simple. We have to just subtract two terms, the radiative heat transfer from surface 1 to surface 2 minus the radiative heat transfer from surface 2 to surface 1. What is this first bracket? If it is a black body, temperature T1, then I know its emissive power is EB1, area is A1. Then I will apply the term view factor, because not all of this particular thing is going to hit surface 2, then we apply a view factor F12. And the same thing in reverse over here, surface 2 has area 2, emissive power EB2, but not all of this power is going to hit back surface 1, so we multiply it by F21. You remember this is something we have done in previous class. Now we will use the reciprocity rule. A1 F12 equals to A2 F21, which means these terms and these terms are actually same. I can bring them outside the bracket. So what do I get over here is A1 F12 EB1 minus EB2. This is the value of Q dot 12, very simple and straightforward. This is the final answer. Answer for case A, which is black body, because it is very easy to calculate for black body. Now we want to calculate for case B, where the same diagram is there, two surfaces very far apart from one another. There is some orientation over here, some orientation over here, and they need not be smooth. Maybe this is also rough, this is also rough. The only thing which is important is all throughout this surface 1, every single point is at the same temperature T1. It is a diffuse emitter, diffuse absorber, and it is a gray body. So these are the only assumptions which are important. So let us, with that assumption, go to case B, where all the bodies are diffuse and gray. If this is the case, then I will redraw this particular body over here. So let us say this is surface 1, but now it has a temperature T1, area A1, and then the emissivity we also know. This is surface 2, temperature T2, area A2, emissivity epsilon 2. Now what we will get very easily over here is, I am going to assume that T1 is greater than T2. So this is an assumption I am going to make, because one of them is going to be greater than the other. Now let us recall, we will for very short time go back to the previous slide and try and imagine this picture in our mind. Maybe I will circle it with yellow color over here. Please keep this surface resistance picture in our mind, because this is true for gray bodies, which means we have EB1 over here and we have J1 over here, some current is flowing in between. Why can't we apply it in the next slide over here, which means I can make a node over here, because some sort of heat transfer will take place from this particular node, which I will write as EB1, and then there will be some radiosity node over here, which will be J1. Some current is going to flow over here. That current name I already know is Q dot 1, and I also know this resistance over here, I will call it as R1, which is the surface resistance R1. Its value is equal to 1 minus epsilon 1 divided by A1 epsilon 1. How did I write all these blue, green and red thing? Just by looking at previous slide over here. Look in this yellow circle over here. This is what we have discussed about 10-15 minutes back. So this one knowledge we already are having, that what is surface resistance, and it is true for the diffuse and gray case, and that is what we are having over here. And not only this, I can even apply it in the surface 2 as well. So let me apply the same thing for surface 2. So surface 2 will have a node over here, whose voltage or whose flux I can write as EB2. Then there will be a surface resistance over here. This surface resistance for body 2 I will write as R2. Some current will flow through this, and it will reach the radiosity node J2. And I can, for completion's sake, write the expression for R2 as well. So it will turn out to be 1 minus epsilon 2 A2 epsilon 2. As we can see, both these terms are very similar to one another. This is by definition the value of surface resistance. Now, let me ask the question to the students that this question has just become that what is the rate of heat transfer between two surfaces, not at temperature T1 and T2, but at radiosity J1 and J2. And this now becomes exactly similar to what we were trying to do for the black body case over here, which means I can pull out this particular term from here and just replace A E with J. Let me try and do that, which means I can write the orange part over here, maybe I will write in red color over here, that between these 2 points J1 and J2, the rate of heat transfer between these two will be simply A1 F12 J1 minus J2. So, then I will ask question to the student, but first I will give little time to understand what we have done over here is, instead of calculating the heat transfer between point EB1 and point EB2, which are these 2 points, because for gray bodies they are actually after some resistance. What is the point which is obtained after some resistance? That is this J2 over here and J1 over here. So, all we have done is try to figure out that what is the direct rate of heat transfer, net rate Q dot 1 2 between J1 and J2, and that we will write is the difference of two brackets from 2 to 1, sorry, from this one will be net rate of heat transfer from J1 to J2, and this is net rate of heat transfer from J2 to J1, and this is exactly what we have done over here. I think now this concept is clear. Then I have another question to student. Even in this red equation over here, the red box equation, do you again see some voltage analogy, which means do you see some term like this over here? And again I will highlight, just imagine that this is the delta voltage, just imagine this thing is current, then what is remaining over here is the inverse of resistance, isn't it? And that resistance, because it is inside the space, not on the surface, there is this big space over here, right? That is why we will call it as the space resistance, and this will turn out to be just the inverse of this quantity over here. So, it will be inverse of F12, and the formal name for this will be space resistance, will be denoted as R12. In other words, I can generalize space resistance between any two surfaces, between the surfaces I and J. So, the space resistance between them will be Rij, which will be simply equal to Ai Fij, and that is also equal to Aj Fji, because both are same due to reciprocity rule. Now, can I go back to this particular diagram, maybe make it little bit neat, because I have made lot of markings over here, and then finish this particular diagram, which means what we are connecting are 3 resistance in series. The first and last one we have already shown, R1 over here, R2 over here. The middle one I have to show over here, which is R12, and that value for R12 is given over here. This is the R12 value. Let me also show the current which is flowing through this. Now, it will be continuous, because whatever current is flowing through first will, it is just like in electrical resistance over here. In the series over here, if 10 amperes is flowing over here, then that same 10 ampere will flow here, 10 ampere will flow over here, if they are in series, which means the same Q dot, their name I will write as Q dot 1 2, it becomes here, and here it will become Q dot 2. Maybe I will erase this part as well. Let me go ahead and erase this part, because this concept is clear to students now. Do not get confused with these q dots. Why? Because it is simply the same current which is passing through over here. Why? Because all the resistors, all the resistance are connected in series. And we can also write expression for total resistance over here. So, total resistance is simply, like in this particular case, if it is 3 ohms, this is 2 ohms and this is 4 ohms. So, in this particular case, R total is simply 3 plus 2 plus 4. So, I can write it is 9 ohms over here. So, the expression over here will turn out to be R1 plus R12 plus R2. What is the total voltage drop? That is biggest voltage EB1 minus smallest voltage EB2. Just like over here, what is the voltage drop over here? So, I can say that this one voltage is 100 volts and this voltage is 10 volts. So, delta V is 100 minus 10 volts. So, I know the voltage drop, I know the total resistance. What is the current which is flowing over here? So, that particular current I is simply q dot. Which q dot? Any of these 3 q dot, all of them are same. Which means I can summarize it in the following form now, that in this particular case, if I wanted to write for case B over here, I do not have space here. So, I am going to write on the next slide that for this particular case where I have 3 resistances, this is surface 1, surface 2, R1, R12, R2, EB1, J1, J2, EB2. So, if somebody want to calculate what is the value of net rate of heat transfer between these two surfaces q dot 1 2. So, this current is simply voltage divided by total resistance. So, the voltage in this analogy is highest voltage minus lowest voltage. How do I know EB1 is highest, EB2 is lowest? Please remember, if you go to previous slide, we have made one assumption over here, isn't it? So, I made the assumption that T1 is greater than T2. Then even without solving, I know that the direction of current will be in this direction, because T1 is greater than T2 and automatically EB1 is greater than EB2. What is the total resistance on the bottom? R1, R12, R2. So, in this particular case, what is EB1 minus EB2? Sigma T1 to the power 4, T to the power 4. What is the value of R1? Let me remember from here. I think this is this value over here. R1 is 1 minus epsilon 1, A1 epsilon 1. What is R2? 1 minus epsilon 2, A2 epsilon 2. And what is the middle term over here? If I remember correctly, it was A1 F12, which means even to solve complicated expressions like this, we need to know the value of view factor very carefully. So, I think we need to have very good understanding of view factor as well. So, I think we have reached the end of this particular lecture. I will stop for this lecture over here, and once we come back for the next lecture, we will start doing the application of this particular understanding for diffuse gray surfaces, so that we can look at 2 body enclosure, then 3 body enclosure, and we have to come back to our original problem that we started today's lecture with, and that one we will try to solve. What was that problem? This one over here. You remember we started this whole lecture with the motivation to simplify this particular complicated radiation heat transfer between 2 and 3 surface, and we want to do something like this for a gray diffuse surface. So, I will tell one thing to student that it may seem initially radiative heat transfer is complicated because so many arrows we have to use and everything is T to the power 4, but believe me, if you have basic and fundamental understanding of radiation heat transfer by spending time on it, it will become very easy and you will have very good command on it. So, with that I thank the student. We will meet for the next lecture soon. Thank you.